Alright, this is drill 2 of the incident management Dropbox assignment. You have two 2.5-story balloon frame homes with fire between the two all the way up the exterior wall. Fire is exposing the soffit and will be in the attic void spaces soon, if not already. The siding of both houses is asphalt siding, making rapid fire spread a guarantee. People are reported trapped in both homes. Alright, so a bunch of problems starting out. And at this point, you're going to have to prioritize them. The way that I want to run this is probably extremely controversial, and I am looking forward to some input. The initial report. Engine 3 is on scene of two 2.5-story balloon frame houses with large body of fire between the two, moving up the exterior walls into the soffit. People have been reported trapped. The nearest hydrant is 100 feet behind Engine 3. Engine 3 will be exposure command and deploying the deck gun. This will be a working fire. Give me a third alarm with Engine 7 and Truck 4 with Box 27. Truck 8, lay a supply to yourself or for yourself and be ready to take Engine 3's spot when we drain our tank. This is also going to be command mode. If you get the officer involved in this kind of incident, they're not going to help in any way. If you wait for the incident action plan, you'll see that there's a lot of moving pieces, and an incident commander needs to be in charge to direct units where they need to go. So having the officer help with their crew just throw water with a 2.5 through that gap isn't going to do a whole lot. I did struggle with this one. I guess we can wait to see the incident action plan, but the plan is to use the deck gun for at least 45 to 1.5 minutes, depending on your GPM flow. I would prefer a fog with 1,000 GPMs, or that's what I would direct them to do. I don't want to get I don't want to use a smooth bore. You get too much penetration with that, and that's not the goal here. The goal is to knock the main body of fire down. Once additional crews get on scene, additional hand lines will be stretched to the back, because I really think that deck gun is, the fire spreading around back. The deck gun's going to knock the main body of fire down between the homes, but there's still going to be some fire in the back. Crews are going to have to go into both houses, search them, and they're going to have to open up a bunch of wall and ceiling to prevent or stop the spread of the fire that most definitely went into the soffit. There's going to be a bunch of void spaces on that half story on the top. Fire's going to be in there. It looks like on the Bravo exposure, fire auto exposed into the second story window, so there's probably some fire on the second story as well. Reasoning for this. Alright, I've toyed with using the deck gun aggressively like this for a little bit. Like I said, the goal is not to penetrate into the walls. You want to use a straight stream with a fog, just so you can try to wash those walls down. The exterior covering, the asphalt siding, makes it a guarantee this fire is going to spread rapidly. So using the deck gun, being aggressive with it early, can knock most of that fire down, reducing your problem of interior fire as well as the trapped victims. So the victims aren't going to be as much a problem if there's really no fire. There's some downsides to using the deck gun. If you get a guy who you have not explained this plan to enough, he will use the smooth bore. He will break out windows. He can use the straight stream fog as a wide pattern fog that would entrain air through that gap. With the gap, you actually will focus the air movement, causing the velocity of the air to be higher as it moves through the gap. So there's a lot of problems. You need to explain this very thoroughly, like possibly beforehand. Like, this is my mentality that I would like to use the deck gun aggressively, and this might be what we would use it for at some fire. And then when you roll up, your guys know what you want, and they can do it effectively. We can use fast. It's possible to use fast attack mode here and use a 2.5, and the officer we can wash the walls just the same. But 2 guys can effectively deploy the deck gun while the officer is giving direction, doing the 360, trying to figure out what the actual problems are that need to be addressed right now. So I think using the deck gun is a lot better. 2 guys, and really it's 1 guy. It's 1 operator and 1 firefighter cannot operate a 2.5 by themselves. You're going to need at least 2 guys on the line. All right. As crews start arriving, the goal. So once the tank is dry on engine 3 it should be pulling away, and truck 8 should be taking its spot. That is the optimum spot for a truck. They should stop their truck right with the turntable between those houses so that they can access both houses equally. As more crews arrive, you would get crews in both houses and they would pull lines, take them inside, search the houses, get people out, extinguish the fire, etc. You'd have medic units outside waiting for the victims as they came out, and you would request additional medic units as you needed them. You would also need a RIT team as well, possibly even 2, because you're working off 2 different structures. But if a RIT team is deployed, you will absolutely need to replace that RIT team immediately. Alright, command responsibilities and the structure of the incident command system. The incident commander will retain all responsibilities from the command and general staff positions. Kind of. The incident commander will retain safety, liaison, PIO, ops, planning, logistics, and admin. The way that this would be set up would be a Bravo exposure, so that's the exposure on the left side of the picture, and a Delta exposure, which is the exposure on the right side of the picture. Charlie exposure, or Charlie division on the back side, as well as a RIT team and some medic units. When you break things up into divisions, you are basically piecing out the responsibilities. Though the incident commander has not established a safety officer, etc., because manpower doesn't really. I mean, you can get it. You can get a safety officer, you can get a liaison, but manpower is not going to allow you to really do that. I requested a 3rd alarm. That's a big assignment for Springfield. That would require 12 guys for recall. So you're working a 3rd alarm while also waiting probably another 30 minutes to an hour for additional guys to come in and start manning equipment. So safety officer, it's not going to be feasible at this point. But when you split them up into divisions, you're piecing out the responsibilities. So each division a supervisor will be responsible for safety of their guys in that division, etc. The incident commander can retain the overall picture of the incident, so he can work safety from the exterior, but they're basically sharing that responsibility. He can work on operations. He's set up the incident command system as it's supposed to be. You don't really need an operations guy to separate the incident commander from the operation, because there's not so much responsibility at the command level in the command staff positions to prevent him from working the incident. So here's how the structure would work. You got the incident commander on top. You have the Bravo division, Delta division, and Charlie division. So Charlie will have 1 crew. Each Bravo and Delta divisions will have 2. You'll have 1 for RIT, so they'll be outside. Hopefully, and most likely, the deck gun has prevented you from needing an Alpha division. So a person or a crew on the front side attacking the fire between the houses. You've wetted that asphalt siding down. It's probably not going to come back if you get it all. And 45 seconds to 1.5 minutes, that's a good amount of time for that small of an area. You'll have medic units, so there would be for a third alarm. For that specific third alarm, since I requested specific units, there's 1 medic unit on scene. So they would take victims as they came, and you would request additional medic units. Okay. At this point, when you roll up, you don't know how many victims you've got, so you might request an additional medic unit, but again, manpower for the rest of the division is also a factor. And since the battalion chief is the incident commander on this scene, the battalion chief also is responsible for manning other equipment around the city. So they have dual roles in this particular incident. This is a pretty controversial action plan. I definitely want to hear some feedback on this. It's a way of using the deck gun that I've kind of thought about quite a bit, and probably in this setting is probably the best time to discuss it. So I look forward to hearing some feedback. That is Drill 2.